Good morning. I'm Clark Kent.
And I'm Lana Lang. TGIF.
We were coming to you direct from Phil Stockwell Data Central to bring you today's breaking news.
Clark, I am freaking out. I shorted Chipotle Mexican Grill and they beat earnings.
Don't freak out, Lana. Phil pointed out that in their conference call, management mentioned numerous headwinds that should knock down the stock once people come to their senses. In fact, members shorted them after earnings at $273.50.
But nobody listens to the conference calls. Cramer said, I think they are a terrific long-term story. I reiterate that CMG should be bought.
Well, Cramer is an idiot. Phil says, even if we call it $7, assuming growth, that is 39 times forward earnings. Nobody gets that kind of valuation. It's irrational. As with everything else, there is the assumption that margin pressures are temporary and every company on earth will be able to pass along higher input costs without giving their own workers wage increases. This is very unlikely to work out in the long term.
Thanks, I feel a little better now.
The whole market is pricing stocks for infinite growth. Despite food riots that are affecting tens of millions of people around the world, U.S. investors seem to believe that none of this will affect them at all.
And what on earth is going on in Egypt? First Mubarak is stepping down, then he is not, then he is, now he is not again. I am getting dizzy.
Mubarak is a tool of the oil interests. The world consumes 630 million barrels of oil a week, so speculators make an extra $3 billion a week on a $5 bump in the price of oil. All they have to do is write a guy like Mubarak a check, and he will roll tanks over people until oil is back over $90.
Wow, that is a great way to make $3 billion, if you are an evil, immoral bastard.
Did I not mention we are talking about oil speculators?
Oh, well, enough said then.
Phil Stockwell members played oil short yesterday off the 87.50 line in the futures, but the trade is too dangerous today. We took the money and ran this mooring. With Friday prayers approaching in Egypt, huge new protests are being planned. The United Nations says there have already been 300 deaths over the past 2 weeks. Strikes by state workers and others have been spreading. Protesters braced for the possibility that the military will crack down. One of the protesters said, "We are here and willing to give more blood if this is what it takes to get rid of him and his thugs." Demonstrations are continuing and plans of escalation are being discussed.
Should we go long on oil then?
No, the price of oil is up only on this one factor. We will continue to short into any spikes higher and take the speculators' money away from them. It is more fun that way.
I hate to ask, but is there anything else to worry about?
Oh yes, of course. The Bernanke has completely screwed up the entire planet. It's a freaking catastrophe. U.S. 30-year mortgage rates have jumped above 5 for the first time since last spring, in a rapid rise that could present a challenge to the still troubled housing market. The average rate on 30-year fixed-rate mortgages climbed to 5.05 in the week ended Thursday, according to a widely watched survey by government-backed mortgage company Freddie Mac, up from 4.81 a week ago.
Oh, that is just the last thing we need right now. How is the food situation looking?
World Bank President Robert Zoellick said today there is no doubt that food prices are rising in Egypt and elsewhere, increasing pressure on the world's neediest people. There's no doubt that we were seeing rising food prices just as we saw a couple of years ago, and it puts stress on the most vulnerable, Zoellick said in an interview with Bloomberg Television. People often in developing countries spend half or 3/4 of their income in food, so they've got little margin. World food prices rose to a record in January on higher dairy, sugar and cereal costs and probably will remain elevated. An index of 55 food commodities climbed 3.4% from December to 231 points, the 7th straight monthly increase.
This does not sound good at all. Yet American investors see little or no risk going forward.
The price of rice, which is the staple food for half the world, may begin to advance as wheat's rally drives consumers to seek alternatives. According to Robert Ziegler, Director General of the International Rice Research Institute, rice typically tracks wheat increases. Wheat prices started to spike in last July, and rice prices followed them up. Ziegler described it as a follow-on effect.
Hey, doesn't Chipotle use a lot of rice in their food? Not to mention wheat.
Yes, now you are catching on.
Yes, investing can be fun if you use your head.